Your nails are ashy, your feet are ashy, your edges ain't done, your lips lopsided, your feet dry. It's just a lot going on. Like, if you looked at me with any sort of sexual interest during this time period, I thought you were mentally unwell. My name is Tiara Patricia. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, welcome to my little corner of the YouTube universe. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. Now, before we get into this episode, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, all of those fun, cool, wonderful things. But yeah, let's get into this episode because I've been debating doing this episode for, I want to say about a month, and I just decided to say fuck it and go for it. So I'm doing it. It's going to be a little bit heavy. It's going to be a little bit depressing. So if that's not your mood, you can go ahead and click out now. But if you want some tips on what it really looks like to go through a funk and what it looks like realizing that you're in a funk and steps you can do to come out of it, then stay. This is for you. I recently turned 26 this past Halloween, and I realized the night of my birthday that I had been in a slump for like 2.5 years, and I don't want to be in a slump anymore. So this is what I'm doing to get myself slowly out of it, and here are some things that you can do as well. But just a little backstory on like what my past 2.5 years have looked like. I graduated in 2021. I immediately moved to Washington State, more specifically Seattle. I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I wanted to get out. Funny enough, I didn't find a job in Texas. Immediately found a job in Seattle before I moved. My partner at the time was up there, so I was like, this is the perfect excuse for me to be with him, for me to be in a new city, a new state, a new side of the country. And so I decided to make the leap and move. Everything was fine, you know. Me and his relationship was what it was, and there are definitely some ups and downs. There are things that occurred that let me know that we really shouldn't be together, that we should separate, whatever. There are some instances where, you know, I did move back home for like a couple of months, realized I did not want to be around my family. I just was not in the headspace for it. And I moved back to Seattle, and I moved back in with him when I really shouldn't have, but it's neither here nor there. Basically, I want to say October of 2022, I moved into an apartment by myself in Seattle. Moved into this beautiful high rise. I got approved. I had just gotten a new job when I moved up to Seattle, and I'm gonna make a separate episode on how I had a really lucky energy, and I was really in my manifesting bag, and I was really in my claiming things that I wanted and just taking control of the things that I wanted and how I perceived things. That when all of this started in 2023, I could just tell it. Like, I realize now it just started fading away, and I left out of that energy, and I left that mind space, and I got into this mind space of just everything is happening to me and stoicism, and really just allowing things to beat me up and make me feel things about myself that weren't true or weren't accurate. That has definitely contributed to me being just in this long slump. So I move into my beautiful apartment October of 2022. I'm still dealing with my ex, but you know, I'm in this beautiful apartment, you know, have this view of the city. I lived directly in downtown. I was down the street from Pike Place. Like, I had that kind of Sex in the City vibe that I'd always wanted. I was, you know, with my dog. I had complete and total autonomy. I wasn't living with a man. I could go and do things as I pleased, and I had work from home days. You know, this was after COVID, obviously, so work from home days and remote days were a thing. But, you know, I just had so much autonomy, and I didn't realize at the time how free I was. And I was making content, and just a little bit in my content journey. Like, I went viral, I want to say fall of 21. I went from like 200 followers on TikTok to 12,000. And at that time, I didn't really know the impact that I could have or know how this could change my life. So I didn't take it seriously. And then I've gone viral a couple of times after that and just was consistently making content and was seeing steady growth. And that's just kind of another thing I'll get into later in the video. But for now, you know, that was just my content journey. At the time, I was making content. I was, you know, making friends up there, and friends that weren't tied to my partner because he was going to a UW at the time. And so everybody I knew and hung out with knew him. And that's how we communicated. And at some point, it was isolating. I'm not going to say everything was peaches and cream and everything was fun and everything was everything up there. But once I started taking control of myself and taking control of what I did and making that separation and stepping out, I was able to make I was able to make friends, and I was able to make, black friends. I was able to, really take stock of my social life. So it all goes downhill, I want to say June of 2023. I thought 2023 was going to be my year. I'm not even kidding. I got gifted a Sony ZV-1 camera. Literally the camera I'm using right now was gifted to me. Like almost $1,000 camera was gifted to me. I had a trip to Savannah with my family, and I got content being in Savannah, and I had a cruise coming up. I went on a cruise in the end of May for my cousin. She graduated. And I was like, damn, I'm doing all this traveling. I'm getting there with this influencing. Like, this is really a real thing. This is my year. I got a new job that was making more money than I'd ever made, and went to Savannah, went on my cruise in May. I got back the beginning of July 3rd. I get off the boat. I'm in the terminal waiting to take the shuttle to the airport to go back. And as I'm waiting for the shuttle, I get the call that I get laid off, that I've gotten laid off. And it was just this heaviness because, one, I'd never been laid off before. I was only 23 at the time. I'd never been laid off before. I'd never had so much financial responsibility. I just paid for 2 trips. I have rent. I live, my apartment was within my pay grade. But I had rent, and I hadn't had time to build savings. Like, this was still post-COVID. Like, the shift from people who graduated in 21 to now, I feel like was extra sharp because it was just a lot doing that transition right after COVID and then getting into some sort of normalcy, excuse me. So whatever, I get the call, I've been laid off. And, of course I tell my mom, my family's there, and they're like, don't get down and out, don't feel bad about yourself, you should, the typical family talk they gave me, which, yes, I'm very appreciative of, but I need a job. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts about it. So I fly back home. I'm looking for a job. I'm trying to figure things out. And I'm realizing that I'm super isolated. I am now depressed. I'm sitting in this apartment and not knowing how I'm going to pay rent. And I'm sitting here with no friends trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So ultimately, I ended up paying like $2,000. I had to get out of my lease. I got out my lease, and I just made the decisions to come. I felt like there was just a lot going on in Seattle. I truly was by myself. Even though I had my ex up there, I didn't really have family. I didn't really have a support system. So, I mean, if you're young and you're thinking of moving to a city and trying something, I always advocate for that. But but be mindful of the systems that you have in place and what it looks like if you really get down and out. So I moved back to San Antonio summer of 2023. I want to say July. I flew out of Seattle in July, and I moved back in with my mom. And without not blasting her, I love that lady down, but just living with my mother is not something that is feasible anymore. Once I graduated high school and got to college, and honestly, after my freshman year of college, because I lived in a dorm with 3 other girls, and so I was running home any chance I got. Once I got to the point where I had an apartment in college, you had to drag me to go home. And not that it was just this abusive and awful environment, but just once you get to a certain age, for me, it felt like there is nothing for me to live at home. I loved going to visit her. I loved going to see her and be around my family and have familiarity, but only for so long before, unhealthy dynamics started taking place and unhealthy, conversations would be had. So I lived with her for almost a year, maybe 9 months, because when I got home, I was like, I need to find a job. I cannot stay here. I can't live here. This is contributing to my mental health. I've gone from being able to afford things that I wanted, even in small convenience, from, coffee or going to do yoga or going to take workout classes, going to do Pilates, to just being at home and not having anything to do. And I'm running over to my aunt's house and helping her out with things because I want to feel useful. So thankfully, I get another job fall of 2023. Funny enough, I got the call that I had been hired on my birthday of 2023. So I'm thinking things are starting to look up. The pay is abysmal, and I'm also having to recoup from months of not being paid. So I get this job. I'm grateful. It's in my field. I'm a scientist. It was doing research at an academic institution. If you know about academia and research, you know that the pay is god awful, but a job is a job. It's in my field, and honestly, my team was really good. I like loved them down. It was a great work environment. It was just shit. But I got this job and I'm like, damn, things are really looking up for me. I want to say I'd been at this job for a good few months before someone, a coworker that I had was like, hey, I'm looking for a roommate. You know, I live on my own. Rent is really expensive. Do you want to live with me? And I'm like, this is the perfect out to get from behind my mother. I was paying her rent a little bit, but because I'm still trying to catch up from months and months and months and months of being unemployed, I want to say like 5 or 6 months of being unemployed and just getting money here and there and working when I can, like strapped. I don't have anything. So I get this apartment, and probably not the best financial move, but I have to maintain that I needed to do that for my own mental health. I was able to pay. It was fine. Everything was everything. But I'm stressing about money. I'm stressing about this. I'm stressing about that. And I noticed there was just this pattern. I'm barely getting by. I'm able to do some things here and there, but I'm just barely getting by. Like my energy from the middle of 2020, the summer of 2023 to now has just been I'm barely getting by. I'm barely getting by. And so with my partner that I'm with now, you know, we moved in together. We were like, okay, we can move in together. And once your lease is up, like we move in together and then we'll be able to split cost. And then I was like, perfect. Like even though I am making something such as making an abysmal amount of money, I think I went viral. Well, let me back up. I went viral again December of 24. So before we get to this year, I went viral again December of 24. I thought I was in the creator rewards program, but I just got accepted. I didn't like sign, like I wasn't in it. Had a video that went viral because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get back into my content. I'm gonna, I'm gonna do right. Had a video that went viral. I got 10 million views on this video. I was not in the rewards program. I did not get paid for it. And then that also sent me into a spiral. And the crazy thing is, I felt myself in that manifesting back again, where I'm like, you know what? I can go viral again. I'm going to post this one video. And if you literally look me up, the video that is attached is the video of me telling the story about how I got called a slur in 5th grade, my response, and then like a whole bunch of things after that. And I was like, I'm gonna post this, and it's something in my brain. I was like, I know this is gonna go viral. I'm gonna go viral. And to me, I'm like, damn, that probably would have been a $2,000 video. Like that would have helped me out so much. And so again, that just seeing, I wasn't in a space to see the positive. Like, damn, I was able to get this video, and I knew what I had to offer. I went into this mind space of, damn, that's just another thing that happened to me. That's just another fucked up thing, another opportunity that I missed. And so this year I had, again, plans, was getting paid monthly at my job. And then, they had said, we're going to switch to biweekly. And I'm like, that's perfect. That helps me. I'll be able to get my money in order. The month that we were supposed to go biweekly, I was like, I'm going to get 3 paychecks in 1 month. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to, like, I'm pumped. I'm like, yeah, yeah. Would you believe my set of the type of employee that I was, they said, okay, we're going to wait till December to start implementing biweekly. And I'm like, of course, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just trying to get out this energy, and just things would send me back into that mind space. Like, I would get, hyped, and I'd start, feeling the feelings that I felt when I was still in Seattle and, really independent. And then something would happen and it would send me back into that mind space. And so it was just like, I kept getting pulled back in. So I was like, okay, well, damn, still getting paid, whatever. You know who gets elected this year? And, we see all of these things about NIH funding getting pulled, and, academic institutions are at war, and there's all of these things happening. But, you see it, and it's kind of like the boogeyman on the other side. Well, the boogeyman became real. July of this year, I received a message from my PI, and he was like, hey, I've been applying for grants. I'm not getting anything. I'm going to apply for one more. all of the grants at this point have been, there's like a word, I can't recall the word, but a furlough where they haven't denied it, but they've just put it on hold. Like, we're not even going to read this. And he was like, okay, if I submit this grant again, another grant, and this gets furloughed, you're going to be out of a job. You're going to be out of a job, pretty much. And so I'm like, so not only am I not going to be back in a pay schedule that aligns with what I need to do, I may not even have a job at all come the end of this year. And would you know it, I got the email link where he scheduled an email with me in HR, and the grant got denied, and I had to be let go. I was let go. And so I was happy that I got that forewarning, but I was still applying. I was applying, I was praying, I was hoping, I was applying, praying, I was hoping, but I still hadn't received anything from a job. I got the call and I was like, oh my God, this is real. But again, a small victory was my lease was ending the last, like the month that I got one of my last paychecks. I was able to pay my lease up and be done with it and be out and not have to owe them. So again, like being pulled and feeling that like lucky energy, and feeling that, okay, things work out for me, but then again, other things happen and I feel like I can't revel in this, like that I'm pulled back into that stoicism of everything. There's always another shoe. Everything happens to me. Da 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 da. Um, In my lease, I'm able to get a house with my partner, the current house that I'm in. I'm blessed. I have a studio. I'll do a studio tour at some point, but trying to build up a studio and really trying to get into my content bag. And this is now how I'm getting to realizing I'm in a slump. So I want to say in July, I had said that there was a lot of things I wanted to do before my 26th birthday. Turned 26 this Halloween, and I did nothing. And I was crying as most women do on their birthday. I don't know what it is. I'm crying. Literally in the closet crying on my knees, and I don't know, and depending on what belief system you subscribe to, for me, God, I was crying on the floor, drinking wine. My boyfriend's on the other side, and he's like, I have to just let her have it. I can't. This is something that needs to happen. And so I'm on the floor, I'm crying, and then just something told me this is enough is enough. This is fucking pathetic. And I am not of the school of thought that you need to just be harsh and that harsh words. I'm someone who talks really badly to myself, and I'm working on that. And I'm literally in, the process of rewiring my brain and really taking off all these thoughts and removing these bricks that others have placed. But in that moment, I just heard enough is enough. This is ridiculous. You have 67,000 followers on Instagram, not Instagram, on TikTok. You have not posted on Instagram. You want to do all these things. You wonder why you don't have these opportunities because you're not taking the time to do what the fuck you need to do. And you have allowed yourself to get to this point of just disparity. I realized, and this is, maybe something that you can look for. I realized I was in a slump when I would go back and look at old photos and did not recognize who I was. I looked at old photos and old videos and old content that I posted and realized I was glowing. There was a certain glow about me, and I'm looking at myself now and I look dead. And I don't mean like I look ugly. My skin is obviously fine. But what's radiating off of me is just dead. It's sad. It's not vital. It's not viable. And I realized that I let myself go as far as my looks are concerned. Now, I'm not going to get into weight because, niggas get weird about that. But I am the biggest I've ever been. And I'm now currently in a space where I'm trying to, walk and be more intentional with moving my body. Just in how I dressed and if I did my hair, if I put anything on my face. And I don't believe in doing anything for the male gaze, but it does get to a point where when you leave out the house, how you look on the outside does reflect how you feel about yourself. I felt shitty. I didn't want to put on makeup. I don't want to put on a full beat. I don't want to put on a half a beat. Hell, I feel like beating somebody's ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in all honesty, I was not for looking good because I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I don't feel good. What's the point of looking good? And it got to a point where I'm just like, this can't go on any longer. So I implore you, if you feel like you're just out of sorts, if you feel like you're out of your body, go back and look at old photos of yourself. Go look at old videos of yourself. Go look at, if you're someone who journals, go look at your past previous pages and just compare that thought process to now. What's different? Is it better? Is it worse? What type of thinking have you taken on? And if you notice that there's no alignment, I would really implore you to do a deep dive, sit down, open your journal. And that's what I had to do. Open your journal and figure out, what do you want? What fuels you? I have been living out of necessity and just getting by, and I want to live in abundance. And thus far, my actions and my mindset have not aligned. And I've, just sat back and let life do whatever it does to me instead of taking charge and going forward. And getting to 26, I'm not bringing that into 27. I can't. Lives and life happens. And I want to make it abundantly clear that I understand being laid off and, you know, being scarce with money. Like those are life things, but how you handle it and how you allow that to determine who you are and who you become and who you perceive yourself to be does not have to, it doesn't have to turn you into something that you're not. You know what I mean? And so with that, I sat down, I journaled everything, and I did the Tracy Ellis Ross. I turned my fears into prayers. I started, being intentional. When I spilled some tea the other day, as stupid as it sounds, I spilled some tea. I just made it. I spilled all of it. I had maybe a sip and I spilled all of it. I'm very quick to just berate myself because that's what I grew up with. You hit a cup and it hits the floor, you're getting called stupid. But just stopping and being like, you know what? I can make more tea. I can. It's not, I am unemployed right now. I'm still looking for work, but I'm stepping out on faith with content. I am being more consistent. I'm putting the product out there and knowing that because I've gotten PR in the past, I will get a brand deal before, the year is up. I'm speaking it. I will have a brand deal before the year is up. I will be in that mind space before the year is up. And just speaking that into existence, but really sitting down and rewiring my brain, and then also participating in the winter arc thing. Now, I'm not a big fan of resolutions. I didn't really know what the winter arc thing was to begin with, but I said, you know what, I'm going to look and I'm going to do a quick video also of what my winter arc is looking like and the curriculum that I've made for myself. But, I said, I want to better my public speaking skills. I want to be able to pitch myself better. I want to be able to brand myself better. And as well, I want to study something different. So I'm looking into world history, and more specifically world history as it relates to, great literary works, and really reading and just reading and consuming, and then also moving my body more, doing more yoga, Pilates, and not looking to just get skinny, but looking to feel better. And I can't recall, and I might link her episode, She's So Lucky Pod by Les Alfred. I've really been getting into consuming things that align with what I want to do. In a way, she said, we have allowed, safe thinking to rob us of our dreams. And, nothing is too outlandish. Nothing is too delulu. She started her podcast at home with the cheapest equipment she has. I'm speaking on my YouTube video with the cheapest that I have, but it's what I have and it's what I have to work with. And it is what it is, and I'm blessed to have it. And so even in the morning now, I wake up and I list 3 things I'm grateful for before I get out of bed. Still don't have a job. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent, but I'm still grateful. And I want to make it clear that when you are in these slumps, it's really important to find the root cause of it, but it's also important to go to therapy. I'm not one of these people that thinks you can manifest good vibes, good hope, because obviously I was in a shitstorm for 2.5 years. You cannot manifest your way out of depression. If you are someone who suffers from seasonal depression, chronic depression, please go see somebody. Please talk to somebody. One of the main things that I noticed in this time was that I had so many people around me who love and care for me, and I didn't utilize them. Nobody's coming to save you is a rhetoric I've had to throw out the window. There are plenty of people who love you and want to help you. Now, can't save a whole that want to be saved. But if you express to me as someone that you love, that you need help and you're going through this thing, I'm going to do what I can to make sure you get to a space where you're able to get the help that you need. You know what I mean? And really, and I think a big thing going into my late 20s now. I'm in my late 20s. I'm getting up there. But I think my thing going into my late 20s is being aware and cognizant of what I have around me and all the blessings I have around me and the people I have. God has put people in my life that love me and care about me. And my mind will try to, I need to wait till I get myself together to be present. I need to wait till I get myself together to have community. I need to wait till I get, wait. The community is there to help you get yourself together so that collectively we can all help get ourselves together. You know what I mean? So I really think that the takeaway from this video, or the takeaways that I want you to get if you're, a young person, a young woman, whatever the case may be, a Black person is one, really take stock of yourself. Take the time to journal, take the time to sit down with yourself and meditate and go through your thoughts. Go on YouTube or go on Google or go on a podcast or just find a meditative practice that allows you to feel and sit with your thoughts and also sift through them as comfortably as you can. I know people who don't like silence. I know people who can't sit with their thoughts. I have to sit with my thoughts. That's just me. But find a meditative practice that allows you to really look at yourself and really get to the root of what you have going on. I'd also say journal. That shadow work, I know it seems a little woo-woo to some people, but shadow work really is just getting to a place where you are asking yourself questions that otherwise bring out information you wouldn't know about yourself. So, when is the first time, I did one recently, what is the first time you felt shame? What's the first time you felt insecurity? What's the first time you've made a connection between the two? And it revealed some things and some memories that I had suppressed. And I was like, well, damn. And I had to go and I had to take a minute and take a moment and get my mind right before I continued, because this is something I otherwise really wouldn't have paid attention to unless I made an effort to look at it. So I would say journal, and then also call a friend. It seems ridiculous. It seems foolish. I know a lot of us, we don't want to reach out. We don't want to seem bothersome, but people care about you and people want to see you thrive. It is a trick of the mind to think that you have to get yourself together. It's a trick of the mind to think that you have to, present perfect to people in your life. You need to present yourself, because yourself is that is what you bring to the table. I know we talk about this euphemistic table. You are what you bring to the table. Your authenticity, who you are, your beliefs, your morals, whatever. That is what you bring. Be consistent and be authentic in who you are and what you're going through. And you will have people in your life. You'll either, one, get rid of the people who don't align with it, and two, you'll find people who align with it. Once you move in a way that is for you, the people in your circle will go with the flow as well. So I am just taking the time to learn myself, rewire my brain, and put myself first and feed the creativity in me. And I hope that during the holiday season, during this time of change, of, political unrest, political chaos, that you also take the time to care for yourself as well. And if you want more videos like this, go ahead and comment down below. Follow, share, subscribe, do all the things. And I hope you have a happy holiday. Bye.